Welcome back to Case Closed Anime Review, episode number 8. This one reviewing the 8th season of Case Closed, which lasts for 26 episodes, and these are the chapters it adapted. 261 to 269, and 273 to 275. Yeah, some of you might be thinking, wait, why did this season only adapt like a good, 12 chapters? Not one, it's not a long season, and two, about half the season is filler. Yeah, it started with episode 194, and it didn't officially wrap up until episode 219. Now, like previous seasons, their episodes are there's one episode in here that's exactly 1 hour long, that was 45 minutes, and there's another episode that's 2 hours long, and that's the last episode of the season. Yep. I want to first talk about the last episode because, well, this is kind of the reason why I didn't do a review of this yesterday, because of how long this episode is. Like, oh gosh, yes, this episode is quite long. It's an hour and a half. This episode, if you watch it, this episode did launch something that actually is continuing into the following season. There's this thing that the show has had since the pilot episode where it has, like when it goes to commercial break or comes back to commercial break or when it starts off an episode, there's these doors that pop up frequently with these little flames inside. Yeah, with this episode, they changed to a CGI thing. I don't know why, but this apparently is a new thing. Yep. And the way this episode feels, it feels like this is 2 episodes crammed into one. Because the first part of it is mostly flashbacks set in present day. The present day stuff, believe it or not, is actually set just before his debut appearance back in season 3. And it's been a good, at this point, 3 seasons since he last appeared. So it's good the fact that the creator brought him back for this thing. Of course, the creator of the series also created this particular character. Also, fun fact, in the dub, the Kaido Kid and Jimmy Kudo had the same voice actor, Jerry Jerwell. Yep, the same exact one. The past stuff is set, from the look of it, probably about 6 months before present day stuff because Jimmy Kudo is still there, and this is well before, I wouldn't say this is the day before he got shrunk. I'd say a good, about 5 or 6 months. I mean, it seems like, because the way it looked at, Jimmy has been working with Inspector Wire for quite a while, and because his first case was actually 1 year before the events of the series, so this is probably sometime before the events of the actual series itself. Like, apparently the Kaido Kid's plan is to steal a clock tower. Yeah, but the thing with the Kaido Kid is that he steals stuff and he returns it. And there's a inspector who keeps chasing him, and believe it or not, he's actually the father of this character's love interest. Yeah, his childhood sweetheart. Apparently, this writer has a thing for childhood sweethearts. Yeah, for people who are childhood friends who fall in love with each other when they're older. Yeah, it's kind of with the same thing of the main character of Case Closed, Jimmy Kudo in love with his childhood friend, Rachel Moore. Rachel herself, during the first portion of the episode, I'd say around the first hour of the episode, first half of the thing, is all the Kudo stuff. And then the Kaido stuff. And then the second half is basically murder mystery involving this mansion and about a half a dozen other detectives invited to this place. And the place they're meeting at is, let's see, where is the name of this place? Yeah, they actually mentioned the owner of this place, and I'm like, okay, I know of this particular character thanks to me reading up about the organization that he's the leader of. Yeah, surprisingly, they mentioned this in this episode. This is before he gets found out to be the leader of the Black Organization. Yeah, apparently for years they actually kept this identity a secret. Yeah, and his name is, if I can get to him. If I can get to it properly. Yeah, because the writer himself kept this secret for many years. Let's see, where is he? Radian Kusma. Yep. Yeah, this particular person. And here's kind of the weird thing about this particular character. You don't see this character's face at all. But when I read about this character, he's the leader of the Black Organization. And apparently, the whole second half of this episode is at his house. Oh yeah, and it's also kind of revealed about 40 years into the series, he apparently is dead. Okay, if he's dead, how in the world is he leader of a international crime syndicate? No idea why. Heck, the Black Organization is not even mentioned this episode at all, which is kind of weird. Yeah, and these detectives are invited here to figure out where this treasure is. And here's the thing. The treasure is the actual house itself, because the whole house is later revealed to be after Jimmy, as Conan, basically discovers a clock. If you turn the clock a particular way, it reveals that apparently it's covered in gold. The whole house is covered in gold, and apparently everyone's suffered to some spell this guy paid people when they go to this house. And apparently this house also side of a massacre, which was basically an auction turned into a massacre thanks to two people who came in from the rain. Unknown to these people, part of the Black Organization, no idea. But yeah, also kind of found out that apparently that Rhino is apparently 140 years old. Yeah, that's literally impossible. How in the world is this guy even still alive? Though they haven't really shown him physically in person. And here's kind of the weird thing I found about him. Apparently, Jimmy and this guy had never met. Despite the fact this guy is supposed to be the main antagonist of the damn series. They've never met. Yeah, but the way this episode is done, it's kind of like, well, for one thing, except the animation up a bit from the previous episode, and the way this movie feels, it feels like a movie. Yeah, it feels like two movies, like, spliced into one. That's what kind of feels like to me. Yeah, it feels like two movies because it's got great animation, great story, great mystery, a little bit more than what the regular series was doing around this time. It feels like a 2-hour movie, like a movie you see on TV, or at least maybe released in theaters, because it actually does something that the other episodes do not do. As a matter of fact, the last episode doesn't do this at all. The following episode that comes right after this one. They actually have the episode going despite the fact the credits are rolling. Yes, the story is still going despite the fact the credits have already started rolling already. Which is actually unusual. Not the first series I've seen it in, but it's the first time for this series. And it's by far the best episode of the entire season. Despite the fact being 2 hours, it is fantastic. It's full of excitement, action. No romance per se, but it's purely great. And there's only one death in the entire episode. And it's basically a guy who's a detective, but he's also a chef. Yeah, by far, really good episode of the season. Now let's talk about the other episodes of the season. And this season's got multiple multi-parters. The first one is the significant music box. Yeah, this one was quite interesting. And the thing with this one is that there's this woman who hires Richard to find her bellmate. Turns out that it was this older guy who apparently died like a year prior to events of the series. Okay. Yeah, he died, and then they had this little murder mystery thing, which is quite nice. It's one of the more fascinating episodes of the series, and it's kind of revealed that this guy's grandson has a thing for her. Yeah, it's kind of implied, and the music box actually missing parts. They found the parts, and apparently this whole thing was a key to find this stamp, which got this family out of debt, which apparently they were in debt because they bought a computer and this very expensive car. Yeah, it's a interesting episode, but not really much about the home about. The invisible weapon. Yeah, this one's an odd one, to say the least. Yeah, because Rachel discovers this woman basically almost nearly run over. Turns out she suffered from dizziness. And she figures out, what could it cause? Is it the house? Nope, it's not the house. Turns out it was the car. And how this was done is actually quite dumb. Okay. This is done by her air conditioning being sprayed with this chemical that can easily kill her. And here's the thing. Do you know the reason why the husband wanted to kill her? Yeah, it's one of the most unusual things. She kind of found out early on that her husband took an insurance policy out on her. like a life insurance policy. Yeah, and apparently he was tempted to buy this 25 million yen sports car because he was tempted by this car so much that he wanted to kill his damn wife over it. And apparently he'd been also spending his insurance company's money. Like, he's been wasting the funds on whatever crap he buys. I'm like, okay, he's an insurance agent. How in the world is he getting away with spending company funds like this? Yeah. Unless, of course, he has a good reason for it. They don't really explain in the episode, but yeah, it was quite obvious the husband did it anyways. The supercars one. This one was actually quite interesting. Yeah, this all involved, get this, a murder via carbon monoxide poisoning. Yes. Apparently because his car was caught in the fog. Yeah, and how this guy was killed was that they put a car cover over him and over the car while the engine is rolling, and apparently they roll down the window so they can suffocate him. And apparently this guy had taken these very expensive cars off these people as collateral. And he was putting them in a car show. Excuse me. Yeah, and also when he first sees cars, the thing wasn't open yet, but Conan was allowed to look around. Even though they were told that the victim was closed, it's a good thing Conan didn't touch anything because even he can tell, don't touch these cars. These cars were in really good condition. Oh yeah, apparently the owner of this hotel loves his Ferrari, this expensive sports car. And he drove around a lot. Yeah, and here's the thing. The person that was killing him was the original previous owner of the car. Yeah, it was suspected when the other three did it, but nope, it was the guy no one suspected owning the car. Like, okay, who did he get the car from? Turns out it was one of his employees' cars. Okay. Yeah. And the reason why, because apparently he was disrespecting the car, and I'm like, this was the reason why you killed your boss. Because he disrespected your car. Okay. But I love the car actually, it was really nice. Yep. Let's see. Yeah. There's another two-part that comes right after. Yeah, this season love its two-parters. Like, my gosh, next one is basically Richard Moore Suspect. Yeah, and it turns out that, yeah, Richard Moore got framed for a crime. Turns out, nope, he didn't do it. And, yeah, it was all involving a woman that was at a hotel they were staying at. And it turns out it was one of the other people who actually killed the person. Yeah, and the way they framed him was quite bizarre. Apparently because he was sleeping in her hotel room. Not naked, mind you, though it was kind of implied of that. And yeah, and apparently where this woman was found was quite bizarre. Yeah, after the person killed her, they put her like in the side of the bed, like near the wall. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and apparently this woman was a very nasty woman, so this guy just had to kill her. Okay. Yep. Let's see. The 10th passenger. Yeah, this one was over a guy who apparently, yeah, the guy was poisoned, and the reasoning for that was because the person who actually killed her mistaken him for being on the bus that crashed, and apparently no one would talk about this particular thing, and eventually the people were saved, and the person did go off to jail for what she did. Luckily, she only killed one person. It was an odd episode. The Black Wing of Icarus. Yeah, this one was over an actress who got killed, and the person who killed her was not her husband. Nope. It was actually somebody else. And the reason why he killed her was because she had previously dated his brother, and his brother basically spent so much money, sold the hotel without telling him, and she apparently would not apologize for what she did. So he's like, nope, gotta kill her. Okay. Despite the fact this is a beautiful woman and he kills her. Yeah. Also, apparently that she and her husband were going through a divorce. Yep. Yeah, next comes the Metropolitan Police Love Story 3. Yeah, this one ties up a loose end involving the character of Detective Saito. Yeah, they actually reveal who actually was responsible for her father's death. Yeah, and it turns out that her father wasn't exactly murdered. He died while saving one of his friends who actually committed a robbery 20 years prior to the events of the series. And he thought that the statute of limitations ran out, but nope. Because of the fact he actually left a day later, because of the whole time change thing. So he had one more day, and they were able to arrest him pretty easily. The arsonist is just some nut who just happened to find the Detective Takashi, knock him out, and put him in a warehouse. And lucky enough, he was saved by Anita and Conan, along with the detective boys. Well, the Junior Detective League. It was a fantastic episode. I love these ones. And the ending sets up, it basically has him go on an official date. And, he was actually trapped in this warehouse via handcuffs that was given to him by Detective Saito, which actually belonged to her late father. And he didn't want to break them at all. Despite the fact he was going to, but he couldn't because they're a luck charm. And he was able to get out of it, and they go on a date together at a baseball game, which quite nice. And they go on several dates since then. There's one point later on they do try to break up, but they're together anyways. But these two are a fantastic couple. Yeah, that deduction was too good. Yeah, this one was odd. Yeah, where the guy who they think was innocent, but nope, this guy really did kill this person over stealing thesis. Okay. Yeah, it was particularly very bizarre. Next one was the whole thing of Entrance to the Maze, Anger of the Colossus. This one was an hour-long episode. Yeah, this one was quite interesting. Yeah, this owner had been killed by, get this, the daughter of one of his former employees who died in an accident, and she killed him. And apparently the plan was for him to hide in the seats, like take all the emergency stuff out, and then jump out, and then like be on top of the hand, and it's supposed to be like a big surprise, prove the curse is not real, but she ended up killing him. Yep. And they would fight about the inflatable doll. There was something about an inflatable doll, which goes to fight via hand. Yeah, it's particularly very odd of an episode. And I kind of felt, despite the fact this was filler, it was just okay, but I loved the story behind the whole goddess thing. It was quite interesting. And it was easy to blame the old lady on basically what happened this episode. Falling from Mount versus Case. Yeah, this involved a car and a car that crashed. They proved the fact this guy was murdered. And this involved a stolen car ring, which the Junior Detective League, minus Conan, somehow accidentally stumbled upon it. And yeah, and their punishment, now they actually found this person had this fact like they're supposed to hunt for firewood. Yeah, and their punishment was to cut out the firewood. And here's kind of the thing. This is probably for Conan payback for him basically solving the case, and his punishment was carrying all their backpacks. Like, all their backpacks. Like, he probably punished Amy. At least he didn't hit any of them. At least Conan's gonna have to do that. The Water Palace of Five Colors. This one I found to be pretty interesting. Yeah, where this master is killed in his room because he has a fear of this snake demon. And the person who killed him was the most ingenious way. Like, apparently, no one saw him, like, this person enter. Apparently, this person decided, like, after this bath, he decided to take a swim underneath the dock with the knife in his mouth, go inside, strangle him, put him in a rope, and then basically hang him via the water wheel. Yeah, and the reason why he killed him was because he thought that he was going to name this master's gave his son as successor, but the son didn't want the title at all. So as for who the title went to, no idea because they don't resolve by the very end. But it was a very interesting episode. I found it a lot more interesting than the goddess than the previous one. Mushroom Bears and Detective Boys. Yeah, this one involving like a bear. There's a hint of Machido has a thing for Anita. Yeah, of course she kind of suspects it right away, and they kind of split up, and because George just had to go out because he wants to hunt mushrooms. Yep. And they find a dead body, and turns this person who killed this guy to protect a bear. Yep. And the person lied about the legend of this bear. Apparently, this bear was evil, wanted to kill it. Nope. Say he wanted to protect the bear because, well, saved his life. So he went to jail for killing the hunter. Okay. But it was a exciting parter. You could have easily made this an hour-long episode. I don't think it would have basically hurt anything for the show. Yeah. The mysterious retro room case. Yeah, this one I felt was a very rushed episode. It's like, okay, you find the body, and apparently Conan was able to find out who the person is really easily. And the person who killed this woman in this episode was the person who called her. Yep. Yeah. I'm like, when I watched it, I was like, man, this was so quick. Yeah, it was by far the quickest episode. Despite the fact it was 24 minutes length, it felt as though it went by just way too quickly. Yeah, bit of a rush. Bay of Revenge. Yeah, this I found to be a fun episode. It kind of feels like this episode could have easily also been an episode of... It seems like the writer of this episode took very heavy inspiration from Murder, She Wrote with this episode. Because the whole thing, person killed on a boat. Yeah, this is something that actually has happened in Murder. I don't remember what episode it was. But yeah, drowning and happened like... And it turns out the person who actually killed this guy was one of his employees. Over a case. Yeah, because the person because he had defended the guy who was accused of killing another person, and this caretaker was actually the mother of his client's victim, and she wanted to kill him. Of course, he later went to jail for it. Yeah, but she killed him the most unusual way possible: sleeping pills and an anchor. Yep, and he drowned very easily. It's by far one of the quickest deaths, but yeah, this one was okay being a two-parter, but it at least was an interesting story behind it. Excuse me, like usual. Conan is all investigating. Next one is basically McGuire's Locked Away Secrets. Yeah, this two-parter explains why he wears his hat. It's later kind of revealed, it's kind of implied that it was because of his terror past. Nope, it's because he's embarrassed about the first time he met his wife. Yeah. And do they show what the wound looks like? Nope, they don't. Because that's the thing with McGuire. Heck, his boss returns this episode. First time in quite a while. I think this is the first time since the first Metropolitan Police love story that this guy is the supervisor. This is actually his third appearance in the series. First time appeared was a two-parter involving a wedding which involved his daughter, which was, believe it or not, Jimmy, Serena, and Rachel's, I think it was elementary school teacher. And I think it was elementary school, middle school. And of course, the groom was voiced by Eric Vale. This is, of course, one of the dub episodes. And of course, the character came back briefly from Metropolitan Police Love Story, and of course, came back to this one. Yeah, great to see the guy. And he knew about the whole Scar thing. And yeah, and the guy who was going around killing, at least assaulting women, was because they were wearing high boots. Well, it's platform boots. And the reason why he was doing it was because one particular woman accidentally killed his son. Yep. Yeah. And oh yeah, and the boots were the reason why. Not because of skin color. Yeah, apparently that's a fashion choice. Okay, so it's a fashion choice for these women to tan their skins very darkish brown. Okay. There's over jewelry, and Oh yeah, and Serena was attacked by this person. Luckily, he was stopped. Luckily, Serena was saved by Maguire. And he points out that yeah, him doing this was completely stupid, but he did go to jail for what he did. hmm It was a really good episode. You got a chance to see Maguire's wife, lovely woman for a woman her age. She's said so crap. She's 38. Man, she looks really good for 38. And she's got a scar on her head. Yeah, and it turns out this woman actually was hit by a car, which Maguire saved her. I'm like, now I would think that Maguire would get more of the injury, but all we got was a head wound, and she was like gravely injured. I'm like, from the way the shot went, it looked like Maguire could have got a lot more injured, but apparently she got a lot more injured. I don't know how that works. I don't think it's how it works at all. It's kind of weird. But my guess is the writer was forced to do that because it's like, okay, we have an inspector who never takes off his hat. Never does. And heck, you do see him with his hat on, but you don't see the scar. You see a bandage wrapped on his head later on. Yeah. Oh yeah, and apparently he loves when his wife spoils him. Yeah. And she apparently was a high schooler. Yeah, and this woman showing flashbacks, say later became his wife. And apparently she's a former delinquent. And here's the thing. The guy who they later arrested, apparently this guy had a reputation. The guy was mowing down high school teenagers who wore long skirts. All because this person got bullied. Yeah, that's the reason why. That's the reason why he was running over women. High school teenagers. Because he got bullied. Okay, you could easily report these people. No. Take your car and run these women down. I call that for stupid reason. Yeah. And these what I can find her from the way it's describing the case, it looks like this guy was doing completely at random. And she basically wanted me to decoy because she wanted to find out who murdered her friend. Yep. Of course, she was gravely injured. Everyone thought she died, but nope, she was gravely injured and she survived. And married Maguire for saving her life. Yeah, apparently it was also against using decoys. How they found out, how the main characters found out about this case is quite bizarre. Richard, thinking this is some pretty woman, of course, is Saito in disguise, and of course she uses judo on him, and of course the cops kind of beat him up for it. Yeah, and it turns out he was not the special somebody looking for, and yeah, it turns out the person who actually did all these texts was a security guard. Yep. Yeah, not much else to say, but this was one fantastic season. Though it was quite odd, though, the fact not many chapters were adapted from the manga for this season. No, not that many. Season does. Oh, yes. This season's got a boatload of chapters adapted. And yet this one's got very little. Yeah, and those of you curious still about what episode filler. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. These are the episodes that are filler, which was not that many per se. You have 96, 98, 196, 198, 201, 204, 207 to 214, and 216. 3 plus 4 is 7. Plus 5, that's 12. Yeah, basically, a little over half the season was filler. Yep. But that's basically the way the season was. Yeah, and it's something that episode 216 was the last filler episode. But at least next season, from looks, it looks like they might have more canon episodes than filler. Yeah. But at least on the filler, actually, it was really good. The only episode I didn't really care for that much was, I think the Invisible Woman one. That one was just okay. I didn't think that was all that interesting. 10th Passenger was an interesting little episode. I love the backstory of all these things. Yep. Let's see. Yeah, 207, which was a weak episode. It was quite obvious the guy was a murderer, and yeah. The 209, okay episode, not very good. There's no and probably by far the worst episode, of course, the pacing is the mysterious Retro Room case. Yeah, this one had the most worst pace because this was rushed really, really quick. Connie was able to find out about the stuff really quickly, and the thing was solved within like the first like first half of the episode. Found out who the murderer was, and apparently this thing also involved the TV. Yeah, it was particularly very bizarre. But yeah, so that's particularly it for this particular review. I've got two more videos coming today. One, of course, is a comic corner. The other, of course, is a review of the newest episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Okay, but to see you in the next review. Bye.